Hello, wherever you are tuning in from, welcome to a special program. And today in this program, we are hosted by senior members of SPLM Liberation Council. And with me here is Honorable James Kokwai and David Nilo Mayo. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Our topic today is basically about the economy, and it's about how to mitigate the impact of the exchange rate adjustment on the common citizen. We will not go far, we'll go straight on to it. How can this adjustment of exchange rate impact on the common citizen? I will start with you.
Thank you, Dick. There are so many ways to mitigate the impact of this floating rate into our common citizen. But before I go to that, why don't I give a very brief background of why the government decided to make a floating rate as a starting point. I think the decisions that we have just taken would have been taken some 3-4 years back, because the government has been operating a loss. If you see our fixed rate, 2.96, and you see the black market up to 2000s, then those who have been getting dollar are benefiting more than the government, which in a different form created a kind of malpractices. Let me just put it like that. Because there are some people who had taken the issue of dollar as their own business. And that also goes to others organizations. That is why many of them are not banking their money in South Sudan. And let me just give you a very simple example. A South Sudanese who is working with an international NGO is being paid 10,000 South Sudanese pound. 10,000 South Sudanese pound with the fixed rate of 3.1723. It is around 9,400 and something. Because it's being paid by organization, and that organization, they are not banking here, they will bring their money, cash, from anywhere, whether from Nairobi or from Kampala. And when they reach to South Sudan, with that cash in their back, they go into the black market and sell the equivalent of 10,000 South Sudanese pound, which is 3,000 US dollar. If you multiply 3,000 US dollar with the rate of the black market, how many South Sudanese pound? 60,000. The organization will take 50 and they will give 10,000. You can see in a different way how we are being cheated. Now, with this floating rate, to me, is the best decision that the government have taken so far. Why? 10 million US dollar. You auction 10 million US dollar. With the fixed rate, it gives you 290 million. Okay? With the floating rate now, it will give you 1,800,000,000 and something. Can you see the loss? Now we will be using this money to pay the salary, to pay the other projects that does not require dollar. In such a way, me as a citizen and you as a citizen, are you not seeing the benefit? Because if our project can now be funded with our local currency, we will get money of our project to take off. Now come to the normal citizen, how this decision is going to impact on their life. Yes, it will impact on their life for only 3 months. December, January, and February. By March, things will settle. Even the issue of dollar, people will not be talking about. Why? One, the government have already decided to increase the salary through the categories, and the public service will be working out those details. The dollar is going to be available in commercial bank. So instead of you going around is waiting, looking for dollar and risking even your money in an open market, you will be going to the bank, and you will be shopping in the bank. KCB 18 point something.
Now, Honorable, there are things that common citizens will want to understand slowly. So let's take it slowly by slowly. You mentioned something very important, the increase, the increment of salaries, how that can be brought about. But maybe before we go deep into that, let's also bring in our second guest to also engage us more on this topic. This topic, which is about the economy and the abolition of the fixed current rate by the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of South Sudan. What is, since you guys are from the SPLM, what is the political role of the SPLM in the ramification of this decision?
Thank you. I think this is common sense, as my colleague have just explained. We receive our money from oil in dollars, and we sell to the central bank in SSPs, but we are selling at less price. Now, the fixed rate, which was 2.96, was completely becoming artificial, because when you want to take a plane to go to Nairobi, the business community will charge you the market rate, so that your ticket to Nairobi will be based on the market rate, not the official rate. So literally, we were already there anyway. The poor that we will talk about were already poorer, you know, because the market rate was already the one determining the prices in the market. This is common sense. What the government did simply was to join the market where the market is. That is the only difference, by the way, because the market was already ahead. So the government's decision to move the exchange rate from 2.96 to 18.5 was simply to join the market where it is. The question you may ask is, how are we going to maintain that 18.5? This is where my colleague earlier stated that we will pump in money, the government will pump in money to sustain that, or even to make it even drop below the 18. That is the possibility. Now, coming to the consequences of this, yes, I know in the short run, this policy hit the common person very, very seriously. Very seriously, because the minimum wage remains at 300. Now a family of 4, and the head of the family is working under minimum wage. They could not even be able to buy a 50 kg of portion, of flour, because in the market now, the 50 kg is already gone to more than 600 pounds. Which is really, this is where the main issue is.
Now, just to cut you briefly, you've mentioned something very important about the market rate, which I will put it back to you. Even before the removal of the fixed exchange rate, traders in the market were complaining that they were not accessing the dollar at the bank rate, which is 2.96.
Yes.
That means they were saying that they were getting their commodities at the market rate by then, even before this. Now that the government has decided to remove the fixed exchange rate, that means it would not have affected those traders who claimed earlier that they were getting their goods
Yes.
at...
We also have problem with our business community. They get letters of credit from the government, okay, to go and buy goods and then come and sell at a cheaper rate. They didn't do it. They take the LC, go and buy the goods, and then come and sell at the market rate. So they were not helping the government at all, you see. Now the government is saying, wait a minute, if you are behaving like that, we are going to follow you. We give you a letter of credit, and you said you are a pharmacist, you must indeed go and buy medicines that you will come and sell at the official rate. But the government realized that one can be very defeating. So that is why now everybody will go to this market rate.
Okay, let's now bring in Honorable James Koch to tell us about something you mentioned earlier about the increment of salaries, especially to the common citizens who are earning low wages. What is the formula for them?
You know, this is not the first country such experience is being witnessed. In the whole Sudan, we were having such situation. What is needed from the government is to come out with policy and, for instance, create what we call cooperative. And let me just give you an example. Immediately after Addis Ababa agreement, there were such cooperative. The army had their own cooperative where government get essential commodities and they are taken to that cooperative based on the wages. And this is how you help the lower income citizen. This is what we need to do. And I think SPLM, as a ruling party, must champion this, and it goes in line with the vision taking down to the people. So if we create cooperatives in most of the inaccessible areas, for instance, those who used to cut off after in a rainy season, you build stores, you now, through the Ministry of Commerce, bring the most essential commodities, and you take them all around South Sudan, even areas that cannot be accessed during rainy season. Take this, and you put responsible people. For instance, if a bag of a wheat flour is about 600 in a normal market, when you take it to cooperative, to our soldiers or our army, you put it at the rate of 400. This will be the benefit. And this issue of salary would be matching with this. The issue of salary now become difficult because we all go to market. The low income categories and the high income categories, they are going to the same market. This is going to be very difficult. So I think we need to devise ways for us to change the situation of a lower income citizen. And by taking this, we have now been talking supply and demand. This is a free market, but with the situation of our citizens, the people who are mostly not working, and we have no income, then it is now become important and very essential for the government to create the cooperatives. And by the way, in the beginning of Southern Sudan government, there were a ministry called Cooperative Rural Development. And this is how you empower the rural people. I think we need to revive or bring back that ministry. Because, for instance, take go to Fashala. From Fashala town, go to Ajuara. In a rainy season, you cannot access. But if you store these essential commodities like sugar, like wheat flour, oil, and all this, and you put them in Ajuara, the people of Ajuara will have now a sustainability to use their local trade. Whoever get, you are sure that you are going to get it with a less price. And that will also encourage trade, because in the long run, you want to give them, you want to empower them, and they take the ownership of this cooperative. This is the vision of SPLM.
Now, Honorable Mayo, what the Honorable have just said about empowering the people through this measure, can you also add up a little bit more on the subsidies of common and basic commodities and how they can be subsidized so that the common citizen can access them?
Subsidies will be very necessary. For instance, there are various ways you can subsidize basic commodities. Basic commodities here, I mean fuel and food, for instance. These are the basic things for survival. We can do it by putting a tax moratorium at the port of entry so that you don't tax them, you don't tax basic commodities very high. You tax the minimum so that even the trader will find no reason to add the price, because now they say I have to add more to get my profit because you are charging me more taxes. So we'll say we'll reduce taxes in basic commodities, you know, and we can recoup this by maybe raising more taxes in non-essential, especially luxury goods, you know. So this will be one measure. The other measure is what the government is already doing now. We are importing food through some specialized traders, and these are the ones that will go to especially urban poor urban neighborhoods who would have to be targets of this, so that in the near future we have to have the cooperatives my colleague is talking about in those localities, so that you don't have too many long lines. People suffer all day in the hot sun just to get 20 kgs of flour in the evening. We don't want to torment our people like that. We want to simplify this. Still new, of course. You know, to always begin something new, it will take time. But as we get more orderly, as this cooperative idea becomes more entrenched in every neighborhood, citizens will have, or households will be given cards. So you can carry your card and you get what you want.
Good. Maybe back to Honorable James. On the 21st of December, Central Bank have announced and actually auctioned $20 million US dollars to commercial banks, of which 16 million was successfully auctioned. What was the importance of that auctioning?
Yeah, the 20 million that has been auctioned by Central Bank, to me that is good news. And I think all the citizens of South Sudan should appreciate our government that we are up to our promise. And the most important that must be lingering in their mind, is it going to be sustained? Will it continue? I'll say yes, it will continue as long as the circumstances are allowing your government to have so. And therefore, the auction of 20 million, to me, is now a good beginning, because two things will now happen. Those who have money and we have been looking for dollar will now go directly to the commercial bank and get it without sweat. That is the goodness of government. Government facilitate. Citizens do the actual work. So we are actually facilitating. In another way around, your government now will not have a problem of cash. As I said before, if I was losing almost 1 billion SSP because of my fixed rate. Now I will have an available cash to pay others program that you needed. One of them, for instance, will be maintenance of your road, who does not need dollar. One of them, maintenance of your water pipe, who does not need dollar. And those projects within South Sudan will now be funded through this surplus that we have. We were working or we were operating at loss. Now with our dollar, if we get it, the small we get from oil, we auction it into our commercial bank. You, my citizen, I and you, will now go to our commercial bank, get whatever exchange rate they may put up there in their board, and you will be shopping. If KCB is 18.50 and equity is 18.40 or EcoBank 18.30, I go to EcoBank, not necessarily going to KCB. So it will be a kind of competition within market. Now, the goodness of all this is that is putting us into one level with our neighbors. In Kenya, the rate is floating, and you choose wherever you go. The same thing in Uganda. So South Sudanese pound will now gain its strength because it will go down. And as we are speaking, it's now 17 today. Did you realize this?
Yes. Maybe also something related to the auctioning. During the auctioning, 22 commercial banks participated during the auction, but only 13 successfully managed to win the bidding. Is there a reason why the majority of the commercial banks could not win the bidding?
I think these are technical questions that the central bank have the right to have those criteria. Are you qualified? And by the way, this fixed rate was almost corrupted the whole country because there are people who are specialized in trading. They get it with low rate in the government and they go and sell it with a high rate. So if they could not qualify, then it is question that goes back to their management and the criteria on how they become a bank. So this is a technical question. For me, I go with whoever competence to fulfill the criteria of the central bank.
Honorable Mayo, this move, most people see it as a setback to the economy of this country, considering that South Sudan has only one source of income, that is oil. And speaking the truth, oil has not really been generating as expected. The income of the oil has really been reducing. And the other source of income, which is taxation at the entry point, also is related to the economy of the country. Do you think that this move will not harm the economy, considering the fuel sector?
It is not a setback because this is the local effort our government has done. We were operating at a deficit budget. Now, by just moving from 2.96 to 18, we have now a balanced budget. Just look at that. That is a great advantage. Secondly, this is what the government have just done is a local effort to solve our own problems. Okay, and this only helping us with the money we get from oil. We have not talked about revenues generated from customs and other taxes. Not only that, we also are seeing the immediate. We should also look, 3-4 months from now. with the implementation of the peace, the economy will rebound within 4 to 6 months. In fact, it will rebound to a very positive part of managing our economy. What do I mean by rebound? Well, as we are implementing the peace, we will be opening new wells, more production in oil fields will happen. We would have by then set the National Revenue Authority, which would now be able to collect revenues efficiently. And the economic base will also increase because there will be now more mobility, more vehicles coming from our trading partners, and with that, it will create a large tax base within which the National Revenue Authority will collect the revenues. These apart from the ones, And plus, for us to sustain a healthy economy, we may also need support from our development partners in a form of what we call concession loans, which will be able to manage our economy very successfully. So I think we are doing our part.
Now, apart from the oil sector and the partners and the concessional loans, the most important things, for example, in the region, our most neighboring countries like Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia, they don't produce oil, but they are relying on agriculture and tourism and other sectors. When will South Sudan start to embark on developing other sectors?
That's a very good question. The fundamental component here is that we are still import-led economy. We are not yet export-led economy. We only export oil. But there are other things other than oil that we could even export, including gum arabic, gold, and other minerals. All these are still underground. We still have to grow our own food so that we feed our own markets from what we produce. Now, the next phase, which I see very fundamental, is to invest in agriculture, invest in power plants so that we have our own electricity. With electricity, you attract local industries, especially flour millings and all small-scale industries. We can our own fruits. We can be able to produce our own mango juice here.
Well, maybe let me just transfer that same question to Honorable James. When will South Sudan feed itself? Let me just put it that feed itself.
Are we not feeding ourselves?
Up to now, we are still importing most of our food items from neighboring countries. When will we fully rely on depending on our...
I think we have been feeding ourselves. Most of all this has been perception. South Sudan, even before the CPA, all our people have been feeding themselves despite the war they were in. But there is a concept that many people are talking about, and this become, I don't know whether it is an exported concept or I don't know. People must move in accordance to their own plan. We cannot make things that are not possible to be done in one day. How old are you? You are only 4 years. I think we have been feeding ourselves. What we need to do is to devise ways and means to encourage diversified our economic base, encourage our people to cultivate. Okay, government only facilitates. And as we are establishing ourselves, even putting in place government institutions, and for instance, agriculture, we need to put more money in agriculture sectors so that we encourage our local farmers. It is the farmers that will now be exporting their product. It is not directly a government. We encourage our population so that they go into different business. But now the concept is that government must bring everything. No, this is wrong. This is wrong. If you are specialized in just simple quadral word, if you are specialized pogo, specialize and bring it to the market with big quantity.
Maybe let me just cut you briefly. There's something you mentioned about the concept that people have that most of the products in South Sudan, food commodities, are being imported. That concept, how can that concept be changed to a reality whereby people don't actually look at foreign, I mean the food commodities which are brought from neighboring countries?
Let me just, you see what Honorable Koch is saying is in reality, we have our own local production. It is only subsistence. Now, what we are talking about is to commercialize the little we have now. Let us expand it. If a household is producing 10 acres, it can now, given the means, it can now be able to cultivate 50 acres and will have surplus food for production. Our cows, we have 4 million heads of cattle that we are fighting for everywhere here now. You know, we are not selling them. We have to find a way to encourage farmers to sell their cattle, okay? We have fishes in our rivers here. We are not even extracting it, okay? Now, this is what he's saying. In other words, there is plenty, but we have not been able to rise.
Honorable member, I have in the past gone to Reng, which is actually the breadbasket of South Sudan, and I have noticed with my own eyes the production which is in Reng grain stores. But one of the main challenge was how to transport such from Reng to here. Yes. Then another thing also about the concept, I also went to a county in Payam in Magui, Eastern Equatoria State, and I had an interview with one of the local farmers, and he told me that this concept of importing food commodities from outside has gone deep into people's mind, into an extent where if I take my food commodities from my farm to Juba, people will not want to buy it, but they have to take it to the neighboring countries and bring it. How can that concept be changed?
This concept has two aspects. One, we need rural roads to be cleared so that the food in the rural areas could reach the market at less cost. That's the first. Without paving rural roads to Magui, to Yambio, Tombora, Renk, how will you bring the food to the market? So you find food rotting in one valley, and people are hungry in the next valley. This is something that we must assault, and I hope that during this reconstruction coming, we really emphasize, other than the highways, definitely we need feeder roads. We also need to give all-weather roads for the rural populations.
Okay, Honorable Member James, I think you can, to wind up our topic here, maybe you can tell us about the timing of this decision and these measures. How important is the timing? Because people say NDI is where most people spend most of their money. You can wind up on that. Why now?
You know, government decisions have no specific time. It can be in the morning, in afternoon, or in the evening. And you know very well some of the degrees are at night, but they also come to work. So it's not necessarily that we take the decision at the end of the year. It's the same South Sudan, it's the same government. What is important is that you people, citizens of South Sudan, know that there is no any government that can work against its own citizens. Any decision taken by your government is in your favor. This must be a bottom line understanding. So the decision taken is good for you, is good for your country, and is good for your government.
Okay, Honorable Member James Koch-Ruai and Honorable David Mayo Nilo, senior SPLM members of Liberation Council, thank you very much for taking your time and talking to us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.